Right. So, I guess I'll bother you for just 2 more days and I'll be out of your hair. But, so we've just talked about a lot of the rules to all of the creation, the polarities of it, the sort of the reason why the male and the female is just so important to all of creation. Pretty much every single thing through the imagination and the creation itself. So everything in life in this uh, sort of third dimensional existence through space time again is crafted through all of creation, so all of life. So imagination from the top and then to the bottom to creation. So all this stuff is just like a funnel for all of existence. And what else can I say? It's just something that El is planned for a long time. So it's just trying to rapture the spirit around the mind, sort of to make the mind feel better about itself, creating itself. So it's a interesting thing that life can do when you see it, when you see another person and you admire them, sort of a little thing that imagination can do. It can create worlds inside of your head. It can make you believe that you are in another world that you're not really in. So that imagination is going to actually help you um, if you were to just use it by its creative nature, like you're writing books and movies like that. You're writing worlds that don't exist yet. So, but if you're imagining a world that's realistic, now a realistic world, that's something else. So if you're imagining something that has properties of something that is real, then that is more on the imaginary side, but it can still be created. So not fictitious, but sort of imaginary. So we're going to look at heaven as in fact an imaginary realm because it was created through the word. It was created through word. Everything that was created through the word was created through a vacuum, sort of like an imaginary vacuum. We're going to look at El. We're going to look at the main God creator, El. We're going to look at him as to say, when he created it, the Word who was with him, the Word who is God, basically. The Word, that living Word, that creator of the Word. That is the power of the Word. How it can alter and change reality, things like that. So if you're saying a word, the words have power for the mind. When word goes into the mind, it goes into sort of a learning period of trying to figure out what is really being said. It's going through the ears and it's trying to open the eyes, if you will. So once it opens the eyes, it becomes common nature. Sorry, it's turning off a call. It becomes common nature to really think about how to put it into the world. So we're looking at now how to see through all of this because we're looking at places that heaven and hell were created through the word. We're saying that they were written by men. Yes, I will say the scribes, everybody who wrote the Bible, we're looking at them as saying, as they wrote, they created alternate universes that they could travel to. They could do this. They could do this again by design, but the transmission that they received through their minds, they're also seeing this as well. Even if you don't see in a certain event through time, you can still kind of perceive one in a higher level. Basically, that's the people were receiving messages. They were receiving things. They were seers. They were scribes. There were people who would spend the time of the day, and they would just spend time thinking what this would be like, what this would be like. But they were receiving things at a higher level. So that is the imagination aspect. That's why you have the things called the Bible today. And if you believe in the Bible, again, you will also know that the Word is so powerful it becomes flesh. So we are essentially the Word. We are the Word of God, but there is one really living Word who is the all, who is allness of God, which is, of course, Yeshua, Christ Jesus. So we're looking at who he is, and we're saying he became flesh in order to save the world. So in his case, we're looking at his creation of being a spoken word. He's not a created being because he came out of the word. He basically came out of, as soon as, let's say, the imaginator El, as soon as he spoke, he was created. So we're looking at all the words that we say and the things that we can create with our words because of the reality that we live in, which is a creation funnel, if you will. So we would call it the ether, things like that. So um, it's funny how much Marvel had taken so much from the other lore and things like that. But the point of it is that it is a sort of expected. We're combining the creation with the imagination. So the imagination, or should I say, the imaginator, uh, the God, he is basically the head and not the tail. He's above and not below. We're looking at the imaginator is the idea maker for all of creation. So he puts the creation into effect. You always need an imaginator to create something. So that's something to always think about. Because if you have an idea and you create like a book, the characters in that book wouldn't know they're in the book until they read the book. And that's the crazy part about our reality. We get a chance to read the book that we were created in. Sort of like I've never really seen that. I'm serious. I mean, besides real life, because to be a material thing, well, in your world, and immaterial probably for another world, you're basically just a spoken word. You and I are spoken words. We're the light, the shards of light, uh, lighting up to the darkness. Like we're these things, and this is our reality. So our words are just as powerful when we think about it, not as effective again to create flesh on the spot like that, or light on the spot like that, or we can also create some also other realities. But the point of it, the word and the past that we use with our word, we don't want to make cursings and blessings come from the same mouth. We normally try to make the blessings come out of the mouth because the cursings have a strong effect for generations to come. So when you write in a book, like I said, if something is written in a book and it is believed, it has the power to change somebody's soul path. So I'm saying the manifestations of the heavens and the hells came through written word, or written or spoken word, basically. And whatever is really written actually has a certain conscious effect. But if it is believed, again, if it's bound sort of like a curse or things like that, it is meant to be followed. So the thing about this transmission we're talking about of the word, of imagination and creation, we have to look at sort of the sides where we're saying the masculine and the feminine with the imagination and creation. So we look at all of the earth, the creation, and even the universe. We call the sea, or the deep, uh, of basically all the creation. We're saying this is like this is a pool of celestial bodies that it's the totality of really what we are in the singularity. So we have to look at the magnificence of our creation as an imagined thing, something, someone, a being, El, had imagined everything that we are, in a way that we cannot understand. So a lot of the characters, again, he can write, or he can think, or he can speak, and that is the main purpose of, we look at El, we look at the creator. So the thing about him, he actually does let other people create in his world, the creator of the creator. So he is the creator of the creators in many cases. So what happens is he puts other people to create for him in a world of worlds, basically. So it's just many worlds on many worlds and many worlds, a multiverse of worlds that branch out through the mind and through words, things like that. So it's one of those things where this is like, think really big, because it's not a small scale. It's not. I mean, it's bigger than science fiction. Basically, it's it's probably one of the hugest things you ever ever expect. So that is what really I like to call the all. So if you've seen the all, you probably know it's pretty insane. So this is really also connected to your soul as well, your tree of life, your personal path, your journey that you have to experience in life, the tree of life. So um, yeah, and sometimes the tree of life again ends in the bottomless pit or in other places. So we're looking at now really what the writers know in creation. So if you believe in what you write, things like that, it will create in a sense a dimension, pocket dimension. Um, but we're also saying that the thing about these realms, about the gods, God, or we're looking at the Most High God. The Most High God again is different from all the other gods because we're looking at the Most High God. El. We're looking at the the other pantheon people in creation, and we're looking at the world today. A lot of the world you see today is because of the little gods. They're there are probably controllers of dualities and things like that. The Baphomets of the world, because a world like this is not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the way that the Most High had intended. Most of us, when we seek the truth, if you look in the 1611 King James Bible, end of Acts, and at the end of Genesis, you will see the Baphomet person sort of as a written thing in the 1611 KJV. But it's really because, the Knights Templar, when they were fighting in the Crusades, they worshipped Baphomet, the statue. So a lot of people who try to, the masculine, the truth, you like those two serpents, Samael and Lilith. So it's sort of like, it's something when you study a lot of the other truths. But the idea was, if you were outside in the truth, you would know that Baphomet would be a ruler of the dualities. So when we're talking about dualities, we're also talking about, this is not night and day. But people thought it was night and day. They thought that androgynous nature meant what he stood for or whatever. But the idea was, it's not about the physical. That's the physical truth. Man's truth is physical. And then we look at the woman's truth. The woman's truth is the spiritual. But the thing about the spiritual truth, a lot of the people didn't know knowingly, but they had the light bringer, they had Lucifer as, as a big thing, because they had a lot of idolatry to a lot of statues and things like that. But think about the Most High, he does not want us to worship these statues and things like that in our own truths, because they have, again, in some senses, controlled our entire beings, our entire minds. So he comes to set us free, often in our minds. So he really wants us to be sealed in our foreheads because of the reason of, a lot of us don't know about even our own words, the own power that we have over ourselves, over our own lives, the kingdom inside of us. But it's sort of like the the creator's creator, if you will. We are not necessarily, slaves to any of the things in the world. But what might happen is, if a certain message or a certain thing is being driven into our heads about ourselves, we begin to think we're slaves, or less than, or are programmed to be. We're programmed to be a certain way. If you know what I'm talking about, there's a programming that went down over centuries of time. But I need God's people, to reveal themselves, because if you know who you are, you probably know some of this stuff, but the idea is you kept it hidden to yourself. I'm saying, the world you see today, you're above it and not beneath it. I'm trying to explain to you, the Most High created you to do a great work. A lot of you need to understand that righteousness is basically the call. If you understand righteousness, you're going to see through pretty much most of it. But the virtues, remember those 7 virtues, because they're going to really bring out the Son of God in you, sons of God in you, the angels. They're going to help you through this time. So all I have to say is, whatever you see out there, again, thinking the duality is all right. It's not created from the Most High. It's created from a lesser God. People, they're strange gods. They're there are all these other sorts of idols that are trying to control your mind. So the Most High is at a whole different another dimension of existence, of creation, and it is the essence of the soul within all people. I mean, this is the breath of life that he had. These are the words that he spoke. These are the words that you spoke. We see through my eyes. I mean, I see through your eyes. I mean, this is what the all is. So do not worship your technology and your cars and your money. I mean, spend time with each other, love each other. I mean, this is the Mother Earth, man. This is actually the world that he loved so much. He gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him may have everlasting life, and not die, and may live into life eternal. Because, I tell you what, the earth had absorbed so much bad stuff over the years. You know, it itself became what? A mystery Babylon, because these stars were filling it up. These kings were filling it up in the stars. But the earth, again, is something that needs to be protected. Again, don't even harm a tree. Don't do any of those things. Like, again, one thing you're gonna find out when your eyes are open is just that with the anointing, is the fact when you read the book of Revelation, you're gonna notice that it's not just the end; it's a beginning. It's a new beginning. It's a new cycle. It's a new clearing. It starts and begins every now and then, but you know, it's not the end of the world right now. You know, it's not. You just need to remember who you are, because a lot of the people, a lot of the things in your life, they might cloud your judgment because of the programming. Understand? Because the words that are spoken deprogram the mind. Because there's a lot more about the world that you can bring into it. I'm saying that the world can offer. So there's a light in you. I'm saying you're chosen. You're chosen by God. Everyone watching the video is chosen by God. So, all right, He speaks to me every day. So, I mean, if you're listening, just say yes, Lord, because yeah, I mean, why don't you say yes, Father? You can say yes, Father, because He's be your Father. Because uh, you need to be free from this eye. Again, we'll break the eye. We'll break it, because again, whatever your signals they send you to the sun and the moon. I mean, the sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. He shall usurp the soul, even forevermore. So it's one of those things where we already knew the effect that Mars had and Venus had and on people and rain. I mean, there are multiple things, but I mean, you'll know Yeshua as a man of great sorrows. Stone that the builders rejected. I mean, those types of things. If you use him in your life, if you acknowledge him, you go higher than you ever have before. So, um, keep righteousness for his name's sake. That's the only secret, the only code. Because I know y'all want to be free from this mess. All right. So see you later.